This is The Brain Truth with Allison Jordan. Prepare, renew, replay. And now, your host, Allison Jordan.
Hello, brain jewels. My brain jewels have holding my brain. I'm so excited about tonight. I got to tell you later because we got a surprise guest. I'm so excited. Happy Women's History Month, and more importantly, happy International Women's Day, everybody. And welcome to 2.9. We're at 2.9 of The Brain Truth with Allison Jordan on the Brain Truth Radio and iHeart Radio station. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Podbean, Google Podcasts, TuneIn Player FM, Amazon Music. Listen to us anywhere that you listen to your podcast. And of course, we're here every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard on thebraintruth.com. And I think we're going to be on Roku soon. I don't know. That's something Krishana could tell me. I don't know. I just show up. I just show up in my red. So as you know, today is International Women's Day, but it's also National Women's History Month. So as you know, International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. And this year's theme is Break the Bias. So you'll see a lot of people doing this everywhere, right? Break the bias. So if you want to find out what this whole IWD movement is, go to www.internationalwomensday.com and find out how to get involved. I'm already a member. If you guys want to join as a speaker, if you're a doctor or a specialist or anything, you can literally register here and speak all over the world and find out all the initiatives they're doing. So check out internationalwomensday.com. So last week, we also talked about, briefly what's happening over in this war. I was actually, I think I spoke about it last week. So I've just been kind of obsessed with following a friend of a friend who 13 years ago moved over to the Ukraine, and he is teaching tango lessons. And I think I had said it before that, I had went through his timeline and I saw him, on one Saturday with his friends drinking and laughing. And then 3 days later, he's walking down the street with his son in a bomb-riddled town going to a safe house. And so I really, like a lot of us, want to know how to get involved or do something. You know how we're always compelled to just do something. I think it does something for our soul. Just me sitting back sometimes, and I try not to, watch a lot of the news, but we all just want to do something, right? So I got in touch with another friend who knew celebrity chef Jose Andreas, who is helping feed the Ukrainians who are seeking refuge in Poland. So his nonprofit organization, World Central Kitchen, is stationed at the Ukrainian-Poland border, helping feed refugees. So if you want to find out how you can donate or give back, he's over there feeding thousands and thousands at the Poland border. Is go to WCK.org. That's WCK.org. That's World Central Kitchen. And you can donate money so he can continue to feed these refugees. Okay. All right. So let me get into the brain bit. So remember, every week we do the brain bit. Why? Hello, because wellness for the mind, body, and soul. And so we want to kick it off with a little laughter, because we know laughter is medicine, right? For the soul and for the brain. Okay, so here's the brain bit today. Now, I don't be coming up with this, y'all. So you can laugh if you want to. I don't care. I don't come up with all of these, but I will tell it anyway. Okay, so it goes like this. Young kid. Hey, brain, you're smart. So can you help me? What did my mom tell me to do again? Then the brain says, look, kid, your mom keeps telling you let things go in one ear and out the other. And then the young kid goes, so? And then the brain says, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with that. You better talk to Coca. Did I say that right? Get it? You don't have nothing to do with it. So the Coca goes through the ear. Anyway, whatever. Okay, so again, we like to continue to hear your brain bit jokes. So if you have any jokes, go to thebraintruth.com or just hit us on Facebook and Instagram, because that's where I get these. So don't be blaming me if they're not funny. They're funny to me. Okay, so let's get into our sponsors. All right, so our sponsors, of course, is Swabs and Swirls, who's offering free COVID testing for family gatherings, special events, and more. So you can get more information, go to swabsandswirls.com. So if you want to do an event, they are mobile, they go out, they do any kind of family gatherings, whether it's just one person or two people, they come to you, test everybody, okay? Pretty 1-2 Cosmetics, NAMI South Suburbs. As you guys know, I'm on the board. There's a lot of stuff that is going to be coming up with NAMI too, because we talked about the Sharing Hope initiative. So we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, legislation and all this great stuff that's happening with NAMI and mental health. River Edge Hospital, Epic Arts and Entertainment, Patch Party Club, Brain Truth Ricana, and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So again, if you want to be a sponsor, which we always need sponsors, please go to the www.thebraintruth.com, or again, you can always cash at us at The Brain Truth, money sign The Brain Truth. And I got some really cool cash apps last week. I want to thank Prophetess June. I mean, she just like sews into me all the time. Our Brain Gang members who are watching out there, all of our Braingels, our Brainiac board, our Brain Gang. And she sewed into me, and I was like, oh, I get emotional, but it's like she gets it, and I just want you guys to know, like, what we're doing here is so crucial. And some of the things that we are not talking about yet because we're in development on. So just so into it. I pay a lot of my interns and a lot of people that are helping me. We have to pay monthly on some of the streaming platforms, advertising, and all that stuff. So remember, help us out. Okay. So if you want to be a part of the Brain Gang, which of course you guys can go to our website and find out about, or become a Brainiac board member, or just put your company as a resource on our page, go to thebraintruth.com, learn out more. Okay, so let's get into the brain buzz. The brain buzz is just like something that's happening out in the world, okay? Which is one of my favorite subjects, right? Because it always gives information and snippets what's going on and buzzing around in mental illness. So when we research mental illness in actors, which is what we're going to be talking about tonight, we found that mental illness is linked to actors because actors are highly skilled, low-paid workers who experience anxiety, stress, and most seriously, depression at high levels. They drink at a rate that is likely to lead to serious health problems, said the study. There's a study from Associate Professor Ian Maxwell from the Department of Theater and Performance Studies. The most well-known issue stems from the inability of actors to compartmentalize the emotions of the character from their own in daily life. Actors can sometimes have difficulty separating their role from reality when they dive deeply into the psyche of their character. A week ago, Us Weekly came out with an article about some pretty high-level celebrities coming forward with their struggle with mental illness. Selena Gomez with bipolar disorder and so many more. The article stated Kendall Jenner, everybody, who has been open about suffering from anxiety and depression, said it's important to have a space that's just for you where you can let out your happiness. She told ID in February 2022, your anger, frustrations, and stress, the things that are freaking you out, the things that are making you happy, and even just ideas. She tries to put her thoughts in a journal once or twice a week. She called reading a great form of therapy and form of distraction. So she gets engrossed in novels to take her mind off of whatever triggered her panic attacks, and ends with Us by Colleen Hoover was a recent read that stopped her mind from spiraling. So she's been reading a lot just to stay calm. And she also said physical activity, which I know, whether working out or going for a walk with her dog, helps too. I think I feel really good mentally when I feel really good physically, she added. She even meditates and is researching sound healing. When I saw that, Dr. Ivy, I was like, oh my God, sound healing. Here it comes up again. And this is Kendall Jenner, everybody. So everybody knows that was my journey. I think I read too, where if you walk 15 or 20, for every 15 or 20 minutes of physical exercise gives you like 2 hours of no depression or anxiety or something like that. I remember reading it. And so I would like say, I need 4 hours today. So I would like walk or do exercise for like 30 minutes and it was working. Hey, Tina, I see you. I love you, Tina Scott. Okay, so let's get into the brain biology. This is my fascination with things in the mental health community, right? The brain biology is all about something with the brain. And so ironically, when I did some research on like fame and the brain and all of that, this research was very hard to find people. Like I kept Googling things, and this one person kept coming up, and her name is Dr. Donna Rockwell. And she is a clinical psychologist who specializes in fame and celebrity mental health. Dr. Rockwell helps clients cope with the fame experience and successfully navigate celebrity life. She is a researcher and author of the only peer-reviewed study on the psychology of fame and celebrity, being a celebrity, a phenomenology of fame. She states, whether from the flash of a camera or the thrill of 1,000 Instagram likes, for the brain that translates to a cocktail of feel-good chemicals such as serotonin. We talked about serotonin before, which is at a basic level leads to feelings of well-being and happiness. Endorphins that reduce your perception of pain, and dopamine, which is often characterized as the body's own chemical pleasure producer. The brain adapts to this, which may be part of the reason why celebrities grow accustomed to their level of fame. Your neurons get used to a certain level of excitation and stimulation, says Dr. Rockwell, and then forevermore, you kind of want it to be at that level. Yeah, it's like a craving, right? When the fame begins to wane, it can then be difficult to adjust. And guess what, y'all? So after I did all this research, I just, you know me, I went out on a wing, and I inboxed her on Instagram or Facebook or something. And I'm like, yo, you're like the it person for this stuff that we're talking about. And I knew Dr. Gettings is, really busy. And so we're going to see more and more of her later. And I said, would you mind coming on here? And she went like, yes. And I mean, I didn't want her to know I was like screaming and crying and hyperventilating. She probably needed to process me. And then I had a conversation with her. She needed to process me because I was trying to keep calm and do my makeup and try to listen. It was just mind blowing. And I just, I'm always humbled and thankful and grateful. When people get what we're trying to do here. And so she's here tonight, everybody. Dr. Donna Rockwell is in the freaking building, and I'm going to be bringing her on. She's going to have this conversation with me, and I'm just so humbled. So when I bring her on, we can chit chat and we can talk about everything and all of that. So let's get into our show and let's give our disclaimer. The Brain Truth does not serve the purpose of providing medical treatment or therapy services, diagnosis, prevention, or cure for any physical, mental, or emotional issue, disease, or condition. As a member of our audience, you agree that the Brain Truth does not assume liability for any physical or mental disease, condition, or issue, or any other type of loss or damage due to any information shared on our broadcast. So tonight's topic, making it in mental health in Hollywood. According to research, actors experience significantly high levels of depression, anxiety, and stress than the general population. Today, our topic, this making it in mental health, is a discussion with top Hollywood insiders and Dr. Donna Rockwell. So let me, before I bring her in, introduce you to who she is. Donna Rockwell is a licensed clinical psychologist with private practices in both New York and suburban Detroit. She is founder and CEO of Already Famous, embracing inner celebrity, an online program and community inspiring women and girls to live their best, most authentic lives. And we talked a little bit about that because some big stuff that she's doing with that. She is a leading mindfulness meditation teacher, which right up our alley. Hello. Specialist in celebrity mental health, right up in this conversation. Hello. And an activist in contemporary humanistic psychology. With 20 years of experience, Dr. Donna is a mental health expert featured on TV, radio, and social media. Her research on the psychology of fame and celebrity has been featured in the New York Times, the Washington Post, Newsweek, the Wall Street Journal, the Atlantic, the BBC, the CBC, among many others. And I saw all of them. I stalked her for like a long time. She is a past president of the Society for Humanistic Psychology, Division 32 of the American Psychological Association, APA, and is on the editorial boards of the Journal of Humanistic, I gotta learn how to say that word, Psychology and the Humanistic Psychologist. She serves on the advisory board of the Existential Humanistic Institute. Wow, that's big. I've heard of that. Dr. Rockwell is an adjunct faculty at Saybrook University College, Integrative Medicine and Health Services, Department of Mind-Body Medicine. This is so deep. Like I saw that, but I didn't, because we all about the mind, the body. I'm just so blown away right now, y'all. Co-teaching the popular course, Mindfulness and Meditation in Health. Her published work includes peer-reviewed journal articles and popular press publications on mindfulness, the psychology of fame and celebrity, and humanistic foundations on psychology and psychotherapy. The peer-reviewed journal article of her original research investigating the psychology of fame and celebrity. That is the only published scholarship on fame. Google her. We're going to put up her information later. She's dope. Let's see. We're not even at 8 o'clock, because at 8 o'clock, we're going to pause for traffic report. I'm moving so fast because I'm so dang on excited. But at 8 o'clock, I want you guys to know that we pause for traffic control. Traffic control is the opportunity for every single hour that you put in your phone, right? You get a chance to take a deep breath and do a self-check of where you are. So at 8 o'clock, even though we're in the midst of our interviews, we always stop at the top of an hour and we do a traffic control. So I'm going to have Dr. Rockwell stop us at 8 o'clock so we can do a mindfulness moment and do a traffic control. But right now, let's bring on Dr. Donna! Dr. Donna! Hey! Woo, girl!
Me. This is awesome.
Hi, Dr. Donna!
Hi there. So nice to meet you, Allison.
Girl, I try not to get too emotional. Like, we're doing a show about making it in Hollywood and mental illness, right? And fame. And I got more stressed out doing the show about Hollywood than the show topic itself, because I'm calling these people in Hollywood and I'm like, okay, y'all know this is a big show, right? But it's, tell me, fame, from your study, the only peer review, what made you do it? Why? What was this fascination? And tell me how that's been going.
That's a good question. In my former life, I worked at CNN when it first started in 1980. And I was around a lot of, famous people. I was around a lot of parties. And I just was looking at how people were. And to me, I thought that they had kind of changed in a way, they changed over time. And so when I came to do my doctoral dissertation many years later, after I retired from journalism, I went into clinical psychology. And in thinking about what I wanted to do my doctoral research on, I was going to choose between childhood depression or fame and celebrity. And I was like, do I want to be sad the whole time or excited? So
right.
I chose fame and celebrity. So I got in touch with a lot of people I knew from the business. Of course, when you're doing real research, you have to go before an internal review board at the university or the institution where you work. So it was very, very scientific, the whole process. So that's what I did. I interviewed 15 well-known celebrities in America. I can't say their names because,
of course,
right? Confidentiality, because it's scientific research. But I talked to a lot of them, and I really got to understand what it feels like inside being famous. I thought when I went into it that I was going to think, oh, they all think they're full of themselves, But after I got into it and I interviewed everyone, and as you say, took such a really deep dive, my heart broke for these people. And I got so much empathy and compassion for what it's like to be famous. We all crave it and want it, but we don't know what it actually feels like. So that's why I did the study.
Yeah. And I think we talked briefly how this assignment in my life came, and I'm always behind the scenes. And, being in front of the camera is a lot. And just in the last 20 something weeks or however long we've been doing the show, I know I was a manager for many years, and I was always like, come on, you got to do this. And you got an audition. Why are you late? And, I participated in some of the pressuring and be on time. I'm going to be embarrassed. How dare you, blah, blah. And now just being in this seat, I have a different kind of respect and a different kind of empathy like and I'm glad I have Dr. Ivy, and who gives us mindfulness all the time. And, and on this journey for me, because it's so close to me, and because I'm a person living with anxiety, depression, social anxiety, I kind of have to be careful of the added pressure, me knowing, because we're going to talk about the fact that no one really talks about it, right? And so even though they're experiencing anxiety, they're going to say I have anxiety disorder, but I'm openly saying it. And then I have to be careful, like right before the show, I have to make sure that I'm not, tachycardia and and just kind of, I'm excited in a different way, but not excited in a harmful way,
Yeah,
so
get your mind and your body in sync.
Yeah, and it's a challenge. And I was talking to a friend today, I'm sure she's watching, and she said something like, well, I just need you to help me understand what we have to say to people like you, or with brain injury. I said, I don't have brain injury, but just the fact that we have this show, we're trying to get people, how do I say it? Like, we can talk about like, I don't know, juicing, or like, my hair braids, but we need to talk about mental health, just like we're talking about anything normal, so that people don't say stuff like, oh, how can I say something not to trigger you? Well, I gave you a givey. I told people I'm suffering from mental illness, but it doesn't mean that you're going to say something to trigger me, because you could say something to someone else and you don't know that they have mental illness. Trigger is trigger. You understand what I'm saying? So in Hollywood is triggering, right? Isn't fame itself already a spotlight? Like Michael Jordan said once, I feel like when people look at me, it's like they're burning my skin and soul. Why does that feel like you? People look at me all the time. Because everyone's looking at them? I don't know, So when you're talking to people in this business, is it more like, I don't like the attention? I don't like, where is this whole, why? Like, not just the pressures, but what is the fundamental thing?
I think what the problem is fans don't understand how important it is that they treat celebrities they see in public with respect and dignity. Like, for example, if you see a celebrity in New York, you might just pass them by. And that's a wonderful thing, because then
the New Yorkers, y'all different whole vibration, honey.
But at least celebrities have their private time. They can be with their family. And there's an interesting phrase. It's called reflected glory. And what that means is that, say I see you on the street, Michael Jordan, and I'm like, oh my God, there's Michael Jordan. And then I'm staring at Michael Jordan, but I don't really care about Michael Jordan, because all I'm thinking is, I can't wait till I get home and tell everybody that I saw Michael Jordan today. Oh my gosh. And then I'm going to go talk to my friends later. We're going to go to the bar. I'm going to tell them I saw Michael Jordan.
Right. Oh yeah.
What ends up happening is that person actually, Michael Jordan, feels used, because you're just really trying to, get close to him so that you can brag about it, so you can feel like you're partially a celebrity, because you can reflect that glory to the people in your life. So I think after a while, fame's very exciting in the beginning, but then it becomes just overwhelming, and everybody wants a piece of you. Everybody wants more of you. And then they're looking through you, or they're not looking at you.
Got it. But, and that's why I want to bring in our other guests, because I want to talk more about that, because isn't that the whole purpose of, wanting to be casted in a show and getting an agent and being famous? I mean, this is part of, people would say, well, you asked for it, this is part of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but then I say, people like, well, you on the camera and you got all these people watching you. But again, I'm doing an assignment, right, y'all? Okay. I asked for this. God told me to do this. So, but it's the manifestation. It comes with it, right? So I want to bring in one of Hollywood's top casting directors, who's also a longtime friend. I've worked with her for, 30 something years. Her name is Phaedra Harris, named Senior Vice President of Urban Flicks TV Network in 2018. Phaedra Harris oversees all casting operations as well as general creative areas for the network. Reporting directly to Urban Flicks TV chairman and CEO, her leadership is a driving force behind the network's ongoing evolution to become the leading destination for Black streaming audiences. Harris was instrumental in Urban Flicks TV's successful launch. She not only oversees casting for every original series, but she also developed as well as wrote and then served as executive in charge of productions for series like Pump, Casting the Net, Vicious, etc. Prior to joining Urban Flicks TV, Phaedra Harris had over 35 years experience in feature film and television casting. I know it because I've known her for 35 years and I've done a few of her projects. Major. Miss Harris has been involved in the casting of well over 150 films, ranging in budgets from the $2 million independent telefeature Butter, Ernie Hudson and Nia Long, to the $100 million studio blockbuster The Fifth Element, Bruce Willis and Chris Tucker. She has also worked on many top-rated television series, including In the Cut, Family Time, Bells, and Where I Live. Girl, I know that's a short, very short edited version. You didn't want me to be here the whole show naming all your stuff. Harris began her casting career interning. This invaluable training afforded her the opportunity to develop strong working relationships with top agents and a reputation for identifying new talent. Yes, Harris's ability to attract talent to projects provides a solid foundation to produce cost-effective independent films for distribution. Each cast has helped Harris become recognized as one of the top independent film casting directors in the industry. This diverse and bankable cast have also earned her the title of producer on several projects. She also didn't add, I wanted to add her amazing school, her amazing acting training camp. And she can go on and on about how many people have been through there. I think like Julia Roberts and everybody. She didn't even mention that. But come on in, Phaedra. Come on in here, Phaedra Harris. Where's my girl? There you are. Hi, Phaedra Harris, casting. There's Dr.
Hey, Allison. Baby, how are you?
I'm so good, and I'm so grateful that you're here. And I know you've been backstage listening. And first of all, I just want to say, I get emotional every show. Sorry. But I just want to thank you for always like standing for me, like including me in things. You don't know what that feels like, being a person that works behind the scenes all the time. And we work so hard and we make celebrities out of people. And you know who I've made, and people slept on my couch, but to be a part, and you've always included me in things and dreams. And I just want to acknowledge you publicly in front of everybody that you're beyond a casting director. You really are like a saint. You do the work. You never get credentials and recognition ever. And I just want to give you your flowers right now on this day of International Women's Day. I want to acknowledge you. I want to tell you how much you're beloved and how much you mean to me and how much you being here tonight in this conversation means to all of our Brangels. And I just want to say welcome.
Thank you. I'm overwhelmed. Thank you. That means a lot coming from you because I consider you one of my sisters, in this business. We have been riding together for a long time. And I literally consider this, this is my passion. My career is my passion, but it's also a ministry. God asked me to do certain things, with the school and all that. And I didn't want to do it because my heart had been broken over and over again. I mean, this business with actors, and I deal mostly with actors and directors and producers, most of my career. But my heart had been broken, and it was just for 10 years, I didn't want to do it. And I just literally stopped my blessings because I wasn't being obedient and doing what God asked me to do. But it was so hard. I couldn't wrap my head around it, my brain around it, of going back in, believing that I was going to get kicked again and stepped on again and pushed down again and overlooked again. And, it's a here thing because I just couldn't literally wrap my brain around more abuse. And I just literally shut down and took the easy route and just put my head down and just worked, just plowed and worked and just plowed and worked, but I wasn't connecting. And I have very few girlfriends to this day, because I just did not want to I didn't want to put myself out there again. So you saying that means the world to me. So, because somebody pushed me out front. One of my dearest friends in the world, Tommy Ford from the Martin Show. I would
Oh,
always be in the
okay.
back.
Stop at that Tommy Ford. Dr. Donna, you want to give us a traffic control right now?
Let us just
We need
back.
it.
Let's just come back into our bodies. Feel a sense of settled energy in our heart space. Follow the breath as it goes out and dissolves into space. Allow the in-breath. And once again, a long, slow dissolving, letting go, out-breath. And when you're ready, you can come back into your body. With one last in-breath and letting go, out-breath. And when you're ready, feel welcome to open your eyes.
That helped. I'm so nervous. So oof.
And why do you think you're nervous? Good question, because I don't know you to be nervous for anything, but this is called the brain truth. So
The truth is that I literally had I don't know what it's called, but I literally had to stop. Maybe, oh shit. Oh my God. I'm a Christian, yeah, but I curse. I love Jesus.
we like cursing.
I had to stop like 2 months ago, and I literally went on Instagram Live because I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was losing it. And I was the pandemic, everything was happening, and I just couldn't get myself together. And I'm not a person that stays behind and doesn't move. I'm active. I like to go. I make movies. I make TVs, and I love that. And I just didn't have any joy. And I couldn't figure out why I couldn't climb out of this hole. I finally went to my doctor, and I started seeing somebody again, talking to somebody again. But I was so embarrassed.
Wow. And Dr. Donna, do you want to kind of step in now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, Simone Biles, the swimmer, Naomi Osaka. I mean, yeah, what it is there's so much burnout, and these are existential reactions that make sense. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It means something's right with you, because you're actually taking in and feeling your environment. And it's just very helpful to be honest with yourself about it. Like, like you said, this just stinks. And so that you don't feel like you have to wrap yourself into a pretzel shape to fit into the external world. You're okay. You just have to figure out how to deal with the toxicity in front of you.
Yeah. It was a lot. Every time I turned on the television, one of my friends was dying. I was telling Allison, I mean, literally every time I turned on the TV, Michael Wright, Helena, with the whole Alec Baldwin thing, and it just kept going on and on and on. And then AJ Johnson, I mean, it just didn't stop. And, my brother, Tiny Lister, I mean, it just continued over and over. And then we're in the house and people are dying. And I couldn't get out. I couldn't get up. And I literally talked to my doctor, and she referred me to talk to somebody. I mean, it wasn't the first time I talked to someone, but I have a lot of mental illness in my family. So I always check in, but I couldn't pull myself out of it, and literally started walking again. And I was trying to be honest, because I felt like somebody else was going through the same thing that I must have been, that I wasn't going through it alone.
You're not alone. I spent 19 days in a psychiatric hospital from June 27th to July 15th. Yeah. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, anxiety, PTSD, and social anxiety. And I missed 9 days of my life in that hospital. And I said to God, I will make it my mission. If you get me out of here, I don't know what happened in those 9 days. When you think about mental illness, I was in a safe place.
Yeah.
You know, I had a group of doctors telling me, well, you slept all day. You didn't take a shower. You walking around telling people that we weren't talking to you, you know, but if I wasn't there, who knows, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing what we're doing, is that not only are we talking about this, like we talked earlier, Dr. Donna and I, we want to make this conversation as normal as possible
Yeah.
so that we can help somebody. I had a woman inbox me, how you go on Facebook and talk about your mental illness? You're Allison Jordan, you're this and that. And I said, okay, so you told me to pray about your broken foot last week. My brain broke. But you openly put your broken foot in a cast on Facebook, and I openly put my broken brain on Facebook, and I said, pray for me. This is what's happening to me. And if we can say that and not be embarrassed, then we'll be okay.
Yeah,
That's
I
right.
realized I wasn't
Honest with yourself
I
is the true
wasn't
beginning of
embarrassed.
healing.
I wasn't
Thank you,
embarrassed. I
Giselle.
was just I couldn't come out of it, and that frightened me.
Well,
It was
let's bring in our whole team, so our whole guests, so we can get into this conversation and get some healing. Right? We got Dr. Donna here, we got Dr. Ivy here. We're gonna get us some healing. We're gonna talk about it, but then we might get some free psychotherapy because we got the major doctor right in the building, honey. Okay, so let's bring in Krishana Snipe. Krishana Snipe is one of my producers who very rarely gets to come on because she's doing all this stuff behind the scenes. But I thought it was important for her to come on today as a producer of this show, which is a lot of pressure. And the fact that she's also can be honest and transparent about what she's been going through. So we have a little story about what connects us. So Krishana is the Brain Truth producer with her background in information technology. She designs databases and apps, and she's the owner of Hats of All Trades, an IT consulting company. And she is one of the only women, not alone just women, but Black women over the entire data management system for the Chicago public school system. Do you understand how big that is? She is the beast, the woman. And like she said, hats of all trades. Come on in here. Bring your own self in here. Producer Krishana, hi. So this is Krishana. And then is this it? Is this everybody?
No.
Oh, I can't see backstage. Did LB make it?
Yeah.
Okay, so LB is here. Linnea Bell. We also call her LB. She is a CEO and entrepreneur at heart with more than 15 years of industry experience, a corporate executive and entrepreneur in communications, media, tech, and the entertainment industry. LB has worked for Fortune 500 companies as well as behind the scenes with celebrities. LB has a reputation for being one of the most aggressive and tenacious talent representatives in Hollywood. I know because I've known her for a long time. And she has been a talent agent for several years, representing high-profile clients in the entertainment industry. Fueled by her resilient entrepreneurial spirit, in 2016, LB founded the Bell Hall Talent and Literary Agency in Encino, California. The agency quickly made its independent footprint in Hollywood, representing many industry notables in the areas of film, television, theatrical, comedy, commercials, voiceovers, print, and literary. So let's get it in. And she can talk more about her gotcon.com and all the other stuff she's doing in Hollywood. She's a beast. Come on in here, LB in the building. Hi. How are you, Linnea LB Bell?
Doing good. Thank you for having me. Hey, Phaedra. My
Hey,
sis,
baby.
love. Allison, love you.
Welcome
I
to the
remember.
Brain Truth.
Yes. Hello, Dr. Donna. Hello, Chris. It's a pleasure.
Hey. So I'm glad we're all here. And we have gotten into this conversation. We were going to talk about making it for other people. Let's just talk about making it for ourselves first. How about
talk
that?
about making it for other people.
Let's get them snaps. So let's just really talk about our own mental health challenges, because, you know, you were starting off about Tommy Ford. I think we left it before we went into traffic control. So I want to bring it back to you, Phaedra, and then we'll slide on over to you with this question is, how are we doing? Let's do a check-in on ourselves. How about that? So go ahead and finish, Phaedra.
It's just a brief story. When we are people that are in the background. We're not shooting for the spotlight or the stardom or the fame, and most of my friends who are celebrities are pretty famous, and I would always be in the background. And he just constantly just pushed me to the floor, and he was like, "You deserve to be seen," and it meant the world to me that somebody of that note and that that I loved and respected so much would just constantly just edge me forward, just kept pushing me forward. And it was just a blessing. So, I mean, yeah, that's all. I just wanted to share that.
And how are you doing now? Like right now, like
Oh,
since that happened.
I'm doing amazingly well. I've been watching The Brain Truth for the last couple of weeks, just trying to catch up on all the episodes. And it just made me think about it. Because I mean, I'm not embarrassed about having a brain moment. I'm not
Right.
embarrassed about that at all. I just want to know how to get out of it, or when it happens.
Okay.
I want to get out of it. I don't want to get stuck in it. And so that's why I talked to my doctor, and that's why I put it up on Instagram, because I wanted to not be held accountable. I don't want you checking in and saying how my brain doing or how I'm doing. I just want you to know that it was happening, and it's okay. I'm going to be okay. Whatever
Yes.
happens, God has me. Whatever happens, God has me.
Thank you. And so Krishana, so I know Krishana since she was a little bitty thing, and her father was my partner. As some of you guys may not know, not only do I work in Hollywood, but I also am a certified chef. I went to culinary school and I owned a restaurant, and her father was my partner, and he was a chef. He went to Cordon Bleu, which is like the Harvard of culinary. And we cooked together in the kitchen, and we had this little, we used to call it our little dance in the kitchen. We just knew how to move in the kitchen and cook. And while I was in the psychiatric hospital, Dion passed away. And so I wouldn't have learned this until months and months later, because they didn't want to tell me. So I was just up one night. I think I was having some anxiety about the show, and I dreamt about Dion, who is my brother, who was just the love of, we were friends, but he was still like the light and love of my life. And he made the best vegan burger. I've been vegan for 30 some years. And I went to my Facebook inbox, and there is Krishana, who I haven't seen and talked to in a while, who said, "I'm watching you do this brain trip. I'm never on Facebook like this." And I don't know, but something in my spirit said, I need to show up for you. And I don't even know if I wasted any time. I think I just called you, told you I had just dreamt about your dad. And then we just start crying. And then you've been with me producing this show. So tell us a little bit about how you're doing, because I know you told me about what this means to you in producing this.
Well, yeah, watching it and seeing you being so open about the challenges you're having with mental health, and I had my own battle that I didn't realize, when my father passed away. That was like my best friend. Like, you have never seen a father-daughter relationship like me and my dad. Never. You've never seen it.
Never.
And it hit me really hard. Like, some people know me as someone who always got it together. Chris, she got it. She's cool. She's always together. But losing someone that kept me together, it was over. Like, what am I going to do at this point? So I went down, and I couldn't go to work. I was 5 months pregnant. I couldn't do it. I was just down, and I had to get help, and for somebody who always has it together, it's hard to say, I need help. It's hard. You can't, who do you ask for help when you're the person that is administering help all the time?
Yes.
And so I reached out to a therapist, and we started talking, and he helped me realize, yes, you need to take care of yourself. You've been taking care of people for so long. You've been doing so in order for you to get back up. Because I was on the floor, okay? 5 months pregnant on the floor, okay? And he's like, for you to get back up, you got to love yourself. You got to take care of yourself. You got to find that energy that kept you going before. And so I just had to do it. I like, he would talk to me, nope, that's not good enough. And I got to say, this man, I don't know. I know you guys a couple of doctors around here, but he was a little tough with me, you know. And
Your daddy wasn't tough with you.
no, I'm talking about the doctor.
Oh, I thought you said your daddy. I was like, you asked for 100, he give you $1,000.
Yeah, I want to know. My daddy was no. The doctor was tough with me, and he made me be accountable. Like he like, okay, here's your list, and when we check back in, I want results. And if I didn't have results, he would like stick it to me. Like, didn't I tell you? Like, no, you need to get better. Like he gave me the energy I needed to push myself because he realized what type of person I was. You know, like you can, if I don't want to do it, I'm not gonna do it. There's nothing nobody can say. I'm just not gonna do it. You know. But he helped me channel that energy I needed to help me get off the floor. Because one, I was like I keep saying, I was 5 months pregnant. I had to bring a healthy baby into this world, and so I had to get off this floor because not only it was a little girl. I have a son. He's 6 years old now. And at the time, my daughter, she just made 16 months yesterday. But I had to get this little girl here, like our princess. You know what I mean? Like I had to get her here, and so I got up and I muscled through. You know, and it's the hardest thing I have
and
ever.
And the little girl looks like him. See.
Yeah, she is.
He like put it in you
like this. This is yes, and it's so
I
crazy.
talked to Dion like right before I went into the hospital. That was he called and he was like, "Oh, I beat COVID, everybody!" And he was so excited. You know, he was like, "Yeah, that's right, God damn it!" And I was like, "Okay." And so he did have so much life, and you have so much life. And guess what? That baby got so much life. She be slapping you in your face. Where is she right now? Who's watching her?
Please don't help her up. We're trying to have a conversation here. Let that girl be where she is. Okay?
And so, Linnea, I know you're here. And how are you doing? This is our check-in. Check-in. How's it been for you? And then we're gonna get into the conversation.
COVID did me justice. And what I mean by that is the world slowed down enough and I was able to focus on me. Like when COVID happened, I grabbed my Bible and I went to Lene. It was no longer about just everybody else that was taking so many things from me that I couldn't fill me back up. I pushed back and I grabbed and I started having Lene time. And then I started thinking about what Lene needs to be complete, to do things, so I could actually start loving myself. So in these 2 years of quarantine, when people see me, they're like, "Oh my God, you I'm at peace."
Right. I was gonna say you look like you aged 20 years backwards. I'm like, wait a minute, is that her? Is that special lighting, camera work? That you're always gorgeous, but you look amazing.
But that's what happened, and most people were like, "Oh my God, my life was destroyed." And I saw all the things that were happening, but for me to get on a path for Lene, I had to pull back. And again, the blessing for me was when COVID happened. Not that I lost people. AJ Johnson used to even be one of my clients. But what I needed for Lene, because I was a walking verge of crack, meaning I was crack at some point because of the pressures of the industry, the loyalty, the lack of. Phaedra, I heard you talk about being burned. Agents get burned left and right. We book, we don't get paid. There's so many things in your life, right? And the things and the trust that you think you have was so shallow. And then you start making that, you start thinking it was about you, right? You start making that a personal thing about yourself. And again, in that moment when that happened, I got to pull away. And that to me was my blessing. That to me was being able to stand.
I hear a lot of those stories of like an opportunity. Well, when I came home from the hospital after being gone for 19 days, my husband left me after 3 weeks. And I always say, like, I'm not different, I'm transformed. And maybe now, if I look back on why, it's not as painful, because when you had a chance to work on yourself and really be authentic with yourself, you show up differently, right? You show up like this new kind of like, I take full responsibility for everything. Oh, I'm sorry, you cheated on me. Or I take full responsibility for staying with you. Oh, you know, you hit me. Oh, I take responsibility for not ducking. You know, it's just a different place of being, and that takes work. When people see the new person like you, it's not this, it's really the internal stuff,
Yeah.
right, Dr. Don? I mean, how do we, in a word, like we all just kind of spilt ourselves, you know, but in a word, how do you speak to this self-care and boundaries in Hollywood when you're required not to have self-care and boundaries?
Well, I could talk about Hollywood, or I could talk about the whole world, because they're pretty much the
Both.
same.
Right.
You know, we're women, and we take care of people. We are
Yeah.
caretakers, and you know, look at it or not, depending what you want to do. But we live in a patriarchal society. Um, Women, we only got the vote, I don't know how long ago. Women of color, it's even worse. And you get burnout. I mean, there's only so much you can show up resilient, and you get burnt out. And all the symptoms everyone's been talking about tonight, they're on the list for burnout. So does that mean that you're mentally ill? No. It means that you've had way too much pressure. There's only so many potatoes you can fit in a 5-pound bag. And we're not supposed to have to be able to do all of that. And we come to a breaking point where our physical bodies and our mind, our body, mind, and our soul say, no mas, no more. I'm not doing this anymore. Because that is our body's intelligence telling us how to care for ourselves.
Yeah.
So, it turns us back onto ourselves. So during the pandemic, we can go more inside and say, look at how many people quit their jobs. Because people started to say, is this real? Is this life? We have one existence. This is not a dress rehearsal,
Right.
So we have to really make sure that we do have self-love. And there's this notion that you really can't love someone else more than you love yourself. And at first that was hard for me to believe, but I really think it's true. And so the more that we can be kind and gentle to ourselves, the more that we can get rest, we can take a break, we can get massages, things that actually bring us more embodied into our very being, then we have more strength and stamina to put up with this really tough world. It is not an easy thing to survive, especially during these times. We're going through some very heavy, dark times. So the more we can hug ourselves and rock ourselves, treat ourselves the way we wish we had been parented, parent ourselves that way.
Yes.
To be gentle with ourselves, to take a stuffed animal and rock yourself, like soothe. This is about self-soothing. So it's not about mental illness. It's about how do we live in this tough world.
Yes. She said, Jenny said, yes, 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 yes. So I want to ask each of you, because, when I was at my lowest, for real, like wasn't even taking a shower. My hair was matted. And people, we did a show. I don't know if you watched that one called I Ain't Claiming It. And when they say pray it away, Jesus this could fix it, da 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 da. I don't even tell me. I can't even wash my butt whole. Like, what are you saying? I don't hear you. You know what I mean? And I'm being real. And so when I went on this journey of healing, it led me to the understanding that healing was just not about prayer. Definitely needed it. Faith, definitely needed it. Cymbalta, definitely needed it. Ativan, definitely needed it. Meditation, self-care, diet, exercise. And that's what I call my antidote. That was the spectrum of everything that's there. And so as we all work in this industry, are we doing our part, as you see every day as an agent, as a casting director, as a producer, are we providing enough and sufficient resources and conversations about this?
No. No. I mean, I thank God for my friends like Lene and you, and I have very few women friends in the business that are like really doing it. But I thank God for the ones that I do have, because I will pull up on you and say, hey, something's not right. We need a minute. We need to talk.
And that was going to be my follow-up question. Have you seen this play out? And if so, what is your position? Lene, let's start with you, LB. you know, you have a lot of clients,
And
and
they call me,
you
and
know,
I get all the person. I get them all. I get them all, and I listen. And again, a lot of thing, and as Dr. Donna said, well, and I wanted to add, it's about looking at themselves and loving who they are, because again, it is so easy to love. And where I was, when you hear someone loving themselves a whole bunch, you call them selfish. But I think there's a time to be selfish, loving yourself. I think when you give so much of yourself and you don't have enough for yourself,
mm,
it's really selfish,
Mhm.
because you have to be your center, right? Even spiritually, mentally, physically, all those things come together under that. And that's what I learned. Again, this is what I transformed to, and those two. And listening to clients, I pray. We pray. I listen, and I give them an ear so they can hear that, because sometimes they just want to be heard. And then we start redirecting what that looks like for them. And I've heard them say, I have, I have some bipolars. I have, and I say, okay, that's cool with the label, but I support you. So that means, because I know that doesn't mean I'm going to, drop you, or I'm going, you know what I mean? I accept you as
yeah.
you are. And that's what the world needs to hear. That's what the world needs to be. They need to accept people where they at, because we're quick to
Christine,
judge.
we have to get away from the thought that taking time for self-care is selfish. We can't pour into others if we are not pouring into ourselves. Thank you, Christine.
That part right there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's I have made it a personal mission of mine to conserve my energy. Like, I have a lot of responsibilities, a lot of people are counting on me, but I can't show up for them if I'm not showing up for myself. And so I make it, I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing this today. I'm not doing, and I make it, I save my energy so that I'm just not depleted at the end of the day. So if I want to do something for myself, I have that energy to do it. And so that's some of my self-care steps that I've been taking lately. Like, nope, I have to be selfish and love myself enough to say, I'm not giving you all of my energy today.
Mm-hmm.
And
Phaedra, what?
I think that the whole pandemic thing, I had a lot of people, I lost a lot of people, but I also worked like a slave. Whenever things go bad for me, whenever things are tough for me, my go-to is not alcohol or drugs. It's work. I did more
Yeah.
films. I mean, I literally worked more than I've worked in a long time. And even with the network and everything else, I mean, I was just work. And I was teaching 3 classes a week. And I literally felt like my shoulders were like so tight. I couldn't.
Mm.
And I'm a provider. And literally after I started talking to Dr. Harris, that's my psychologist. Never mind. his name is really
Your
Dr. Harris.
therapist.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
looks 25, which is really annoying, but it's okay. When I started talking to Dr. Harris, he made me realize that I'm not filling back up. I'm pouring out, and I'm just depleted. And literally, I walked away from my job. I walked away from people that were just takers and pulling and taking. And I just literally woosad and started walking around the freaking park and spending time with me. And I'm not 100%. I'm not back to where I was, racing and going. But I'm taking baby steps to just remember who I was before I was so wrapped up in fear and grief of all my friends going and, people in the hospital and having to be a provider and taking care of people. And I haven't started back to teaching this year. And I usually start back right at the first of the year, right after Martin Luther King Day. And I needed to breathe. And I'm like, I have several people working for me. And like, are you going to come back? I'm like, I just need to breathe.
Yeah.
Just want to breathe right now. I'm good. And I know I love teaching. Please don't get me wrong. I mean, I did it for free for 7 years at my church. I love it, love it, love it.
Just say no. Somebody said that a few minutes ago. No is a complete sentence, honey. What did they say? They didn't say that. They said no is, what was it? The no is self-empowering. Right on, Wanda. I say no is a complete sentence. I have learned in these last 2 years to say the word no. Sing it too.
Yeah, Kristen said it here.
Do the happy dance. Do the jazz hands when you do it.
When you say no, you're protecting your bandwidth.
It's so hard. I mean, people always talk about Hollywood people. Sorry, LB. People always talk about Hollywood people. We're always waiting for the next gig, or it's so much money on the table, and you're like, you can't turn this down. It's just got all these people thinking that are depending on you. So I mean, it's a lot when somebody offers you a lot of money, and and a lot of the things that you've been working for 40 years to get to, and to be able to say no, it's a lot. I mean, I literally,
Yeah.
I said no. And I mean, I was scared to death when I said no, because I'm like, are they going to think I'm weak, or are they going to think I can't handle this, or, all those things went through my mind. But then I'm like, I just want to,
Mm. Mm.
and I
You got
literally,
Donna,
I mean,
say
I,
something, Donna.
yeah.
Doctor.
You got to be able to do that, because really everything you're describing is just one simple thing. It's burnout.
Mm.
It's burnout. There's only so many years we can go through this without getting burnt out. And then it's supposed to be okay to not be okay. Like you need to take a break. Your neurons need time to stop
Mm.
so that they can start again. That's the beauty of meditation, is that you stop. It stops you from thinking, of
Yes.
ruminating, of worrying, you need a break in that. And so I think that what happened in your life was perfect, and that you needed a break, and
Mm.
you needed to reclaim yourself. I was telling Allison earlier today, like if you look at feminist literature, they talk about like raising Ophelia, that we're cool, we're together, we're strong until we're like 9, 10, 11 years old. And then all of a sudden we're looking at the boys next to us, or we're comparing ourselves to the girls, and we lose ourselves. And then we get to be about 35, 40, somewhere in there. And then we're like, I need to reclaim that girl. Where is she? I want her.
Right.
So it's really a very normal process to go through. And it's actually quite beautiful that you are at this stage right now where you're reclaiming yourself. It's like Phoenix from the ashes, it's your own resurrection. So
Yes.
it's a beautiful thing, and you can love yourself for being where you're at. I read this book once called Sitting in the Fire, and it just meant we have to be able to sit in the fire, to sit in the pain, to sit in the sorrow.
Sit in the fire.
And
Ouch.
then it passes. The fire,
Okay.
the emotion,
Okay.
sitting in the fire of depression, of anxiety,
Mm.
wanting to get out of it is part
Yes.
of what makes us not be able to get out of it. If we
Yes.
sit in it, and like I was talking before about that long, slow dissolving out breath, that's the breath that trains the mind to let go
Mm-hmm.
of everything, of thoughts, so it's just going out into space. If we can do that, then we're actually letting our neurons stop and start again. If we just keep going and going and going, they can't do it. So we do need to be good to ourselves, kind to ourselves, self-loving. And once you start it, since it's healthy and it's really good, you can't stop, and it's not selfish. It's, they talked to the Dalai Lama over in Tibet, and he did not understand this concept of lack of self-esteem, because they don't have that over there, because they're mostly thinking about service, or how can I make my community better. And,
Right.
and it's like the story of the circle, like how do we feed each other? Everyone is in a big circle. We have these big long spoons, but we can't like reach our own mouths, but we could reach across the circle and feed each other. That's more of a community way of living. And that's what we're doing right now here is 5 women, 6, one waiting to come on. But that's
Right.
what we're doing here, is we're creating community and we're healing together.
Exactly. And when I heard you, LB, say, this person said he has bipolar and this and that, what are we doing enough? And Dr. Donna, I don't know from your research what has had an impact, but should we be in an association with mental health communities, professionals, and all of that, and understanding the variations of what does bipolar mean? I was talking to someone today, and if you don't know what it actually means, or what's the difference between MDD or, social anxiety, what does it mean? Because people go, how do you have social anxiety? You're so outgoing. Google it.
So does Barbara Streisand.
That's not what it means, So doctor, are we, and I feel like we have sort of like a role right now. I always feel like this is always not by accident, but on purpose. So, what can we do, or what are we doing if I don't know already?
We can do way more, and we should be doing way more. Especially like child actors. They're just so used. If you saw the Judy Garland movie about her life, I mean, that happens to almost all child stars.
Yes.
So I think that, yes, I mean, Michael Phelps has brought a lot of attention to this, talking about the talk therapy. And I think that the stigma is actually going away. All of your work, Allison, and other people who really put their heart into making sure to get rid of the bias, get rid of the stigma, it's working. And life works as a pendulum. And I think we're coming back to a more woke understanding of mental health and how we have to integrate simply existential being in the world, which is tough, and understand each other's own process of how we deal with that. Yes, we need to do more of that. So on movie sets, there should be
a social worker, therapist.
There should be on every single movie set. There should be one, and on
say that louder.
Every commercial, there should be one, and on every reality show. I mean, they really need to follow up with these people.
Hello.
They just use them and then send them out into the world, and it is really not fair. So yes, there should be a more safe container for people to deal with the emotional, normal effects of being in the public eye 24/7, and the needs, the wants, the drives, the whip to keep producing, make the money. The corporate capitalist system is keeping us all.
Okay. Because Phaedra, you can say, I'm sorry, who was here to say something? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I love where you're going with that. Just like how we say, do you have a coach, an acting coach? Are you in classes?
Right. Exactly.
New people are people that have burnt out or they're coming back. It's saying, hey, you know what, who do you have? And then here's some additional resources. So I think
absolutely
we can talk about because we do it, and it is part of your growth factor. And if you're not keeping yourself in check, again, I read in the comments, how can you show up? You
exactly. And LB, you have the people's careers in your hands. You know what I mean? And like, I know what your day looks like. I've seen you work, and you know, you've got 100 people. You got to get their calls out, and then they're not running late. The casting director's call, and then you got feedback. And like, did I get the part? You know, you and Lene, you and Phaedra on two different sides, because she's the one you got to call, Phaedra, and Phaedra's always good. This is why you had to sit down, because Phaedra's good about answering your call as a casting director, and don't even sound like out of breath. She'll just be like, yep. Yeah, and yeah, so the reason she didn't get the role is because, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I know she had like 100 people she had to share that information with, right? And so for me and Phaedra, depression hurts. That's all I can say. I don't even know how to express it. I always say I wish they can do like a simulation of what it feels like. It doesn't matter what my resume look like. It don't matter nothing. You can look at Regina King's son and be like, he went on every red carpet. She loved him. She included him. And look, oh, the beauty queen, she's so gorgeous. And because this thing up in here, this brain right here has its own trajectory. And if we don't take care of it, like Dr. Donna said, it's going to do what it wants to do. And so if you have a client that has anxiety disorder, if you ask those questions and they're willing to share it, then if they have an audition at 9, say the audition's at 8, you know, give them a little bit of time. Lie. You know what I'm saying? You know, start pivoting, arcing. I'm being honest, like, because when I looked at like, and we're going to get to some of your questions too. And if you want to call in and talk to our guest, 708-545-2446. And I'm going to get to your questions because as this show always moves so fast. I was thinking about years and years ago, everybody knows I have friends in Hollywood. I'm not trying to name drop, but Denzel Washington is one of my friends. And I remember after he did Malcolm X, I was with my sister, Krista. We went to this club, whatever. And she goes, oh my God, I think that's Denzel over there. Like, she didn't know. And I said, is it? And I turned around and he had on house shoes and a robe. He had just finished doing the Malcolm X movie and he was still Malcolm X or something. And I was like, are you okay? He was like, Allison. I'm like, are you okay? And he was still like, how you doing? Like still talking, you know. And then even my sister who did the TLC movie, she played T-Vaz. And for a couple of days, she was, not weeks or whatever, she was still thumping her feet and walking, yo, what's up? How you doing? You know, and I'm like, okay, so we're not in the 90s anymore. Let's get you a roll with a wig. It's like, and like the disassociation is what I'm getting at. It's like, you know, we push them to get the character and understand it and get it. and then they disassociate and disconnect. You know, I've been teaching acting. I do Uta Hagen, and I like teaching Uta Hagen because it teaches you either to associate or then use your five senses. And I teach the five senses to the kids because I don't want to say, okay, cry in the scene. Remember when your grandmama died? You know what I'm saying? Then I'll have a bunch of mothers going, how you gonna talk about some stuff to make her cry instead of just using the senses? You know what pain feels like, da 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 da. But we are evoking emotions. We are pushing them to places that's hard. So in itself, the disassociation, the pressuring, are we doing damage? Are we doing? I'm sorry. I'll be asking questions and y'all like me. I don't know. But I just the point of conversation, like, are we doing this? Is this okay?
Well, it's just okay. It's the best it can be for our what we consider our normal, you know.
I think it is okay, but I think you also have to. What Dr. Donna was saying is that we have to have some backup on those sets and around us. And it's not just for the actors. I mean, I love actors. You know, LB, by the way, she's one of the hardest people to negotiate in the whole wide world. She's my girlfriend.
Girl.
And she's my girlfriend.
I'm gonna need that extra penny on that back end.
Cut it out. I mean, I have to go to the girlfriend thing and say, I'm calling girlfriend code right now. Cut it out. She's a ruthless negotiator, but I love her for it. We all wear roles every day. You know, I wanted to be senior vice president of a network for so many years, and I've been senior vice president of this. And so you put this role on, and every time I put my glasses on, I realize I turn into her, and I'm like this strong, and I can't be weak. I can't be soft. I can't be this. And then I have to guide people all the way through the process. And most producers, you know, no pat on my back, but most producers do one film, one TV series a year. We did 4 at one time, you know, and it was all women running this network. And but we think that we can do everything, or we have to do everything, or we try to be pleasers and make sure everything is done. Everybody's playing a role, and sometimes you just have to take the robe off, take the slippers off, and just go back to being. I mean, I literally just go sit in my car or go sit at the park and read. And I have a million things I want to do or I need to do, but sometimes you need to read. But don't ever negotiate with Lene Bell. That's all I'm saying.
She just called you out, honey. Let's get to some of these questions.
You want me to do that for you?
You know it's true, Allison. You know it's true, Allison.
Yeah, I know. I need to talk to her offline so she could be my agent. I hope she's taking new clients because I got a big project I need to talk to you about. But let's get to some of these questions. I know you guys. I saw something from Dr. Gettings, who's one of our Brain Gang members. She's our in-house psychiatrist. I know she made a comment. So if we can get some of those questions, Dr. Gettings, how you doing, Dr. Gettings? Our overall health depends on our ability to maintain healthy boundaries and have balance in all things. This reminder is so important. I'm so thankful for these testimonies. Thank you, Dr. Gettings. How often and for how long do you ladies disconnect from your cell phones and laptops? I don't know. I don't think LB can. She's going to get a whole bunch of people going off on her. You do?
Actually, I do. I have 2 offices, one here at my house, upstairs on the 3rd floor, and then at my other office. I literally will just get up and I walk downstairs and I go to a different area of the house that has no work involved in it. And that's it. And I take an hour or 2 for me. And then I come back into this whatever you want to call it, because whatever is happening is going to be okay. Right? Yeah. It's going to be okay. At the end of the day,
it's going to be there.
It's not going to go there.
You got to give your brain a chance.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. You're
not. Yeah, Phaedra. You can call Phaedra anytime, any day. She's going to answer that phone. She can be in the shower. You get a shower water running. She's like, okay, hold on. Let me rinse off.
I'm trying to get there. I really want to get there, but it's a thing. I mean, I literally have it right here. It rang a minute ago.
It's ringing in the show.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. And I turned it off, but never mind. I'm trying to get there. It's been 41 years of trying to get the career that I've always dreamed of having, and it feels like sometimes if you turn that phone off, I know it's not truthful. That's all going to go. And I'm not this weaker. I'm not fearful. I walk by faith, not by fear.
Keep doing footnotes. Queen.
But it's hard to turn it off. It's hard to turn it off, Allison. You know that. And you will call me at 1 o'clock in the morning, or I will call you at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And, but we're girlfriends, so that can happen. Right. But even if it were a work related thing. My boss, the owner of the network, we used to lived in the Philippines, and he's 15 hours ahead, and he would just call me, and I would be up, and I would just work, and I would just always work.
You can't. What's the fear about turning it off?
I don't know.
Is it really fear? I don't think it's necessarily a fear. I think it's a responsibility. For me, I knew it was a responsibility, so I had to. But again, I'm going to keep saying COVID. I learned the responsibility is to take care of me as well.
I was just going to say that you are the responsibility. I had to learn to show up for yourself. You have to show up for yourself. You know, you are the responsibility. So no, I'm getting good at this, guys. So if y'all need some coaches to tell you how to say, I'm not going to do it today.
Yeah, because Krishana, she ain't going to answer the phone.
I will not.
Busy. And then I'll be like, you need to answer this phone. She'll be like, nope, I'll be calling you at 5:30.
You got to, because or I will be drained if I'm trying to please while I'm already doing the job and doing another job on top of another job. You know, I will be depleted. So I have to set my boundaries so that I can keep going every day, you know, or it won't happen.
But I learned, you know, over the years of being in this business is that I was definitely where you at, Phaedra. I mean, you know, it took a lot, and this is just 2 years in. So think about it. Same like you, and I can tell you, and I can be a testimony, just like you said, how you felt when I went down. It was just so, like, looking back, I had to have that happen, or it would have took me out, you know. Because it's really hard, this industry. I remember when I worked for Wesley Snipes, and he would call me at 2 a.m. and not even ask any questions. Just, the car is outside. I need you in New York. We have a meeting in the morning. And I'll pack up my baby, get on a flight, go there. And then he's sleeping until noon. I'm like, you're kidding me. It's a meeting at 9. Hold on for a minute. And it's like, you know, in these stories, I'm saying, yeah, quote me on it, whatever. This is what my life looked like. I'm being transparent.
It's all true. That's how it works. And as women, I think that we take on a whole lot more because we have to, because we don't want to appear like we're not strong enough, or not working hard enough, or not doing enough. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say this, but the misogynistic part of the business that we're in, and this is one of the most misogynistic businesses, they depend on us because they know we're going to do it all the time. They know we're going to get it done, and we get it done to the expense of our you know, to ourselves.
Yes, different. I work in IT, so just imagine being the small girl, Black girl, you know, and if I develop databases, how many Black girls you gonna see at the developers conference? You know, it's not, and then I have to show up, and then I have to overachieve, you know, because they're expecting me to fail. She doesn't know anything. So I have to show these men up constantly to show them, no, not only am I good as you, actually I'm better than you.
You know, better than you.
So I'm better than you, you know, and so this is the struggles that we have to do. And that's also a mental battle every day. You know, you have to go into a place where you have to constantly prove yourself and show that you're better because you're a woman, you know, or and things like that. So yes, it's a struggle. And I just want y'all to know, it's just, I'm working, right? Let me show y'all what I'm doing. I'm throwing these comments up, okay? So y'all see me up here, I'm working this stuff. I'm gonna win this time. I'm gonna put out
Willie Gaines. Absolutely agree. Dr. Donna, you were gonna say something? We can't hear her.
Oh, did she mute?
Is she muted?
How's that?
Now we hear you. Okay.
I was going to say that we have to take care of ourselves first, you know, and if we don't, then we're going to pay for it later. And it's not just our health now, we're talking about longevity.
Yes.
And we have to be able, I remember I talked to someone a long time ago, and he counseled me. He said, you have to learn how to say the following sentence. I'm afraid that's not possible right now.
I'm afraid that's not possible right now. Write that down, Phaedra. You got a pen?
I'm writing
I'm afraid that's not possible right now. Then you don't even have to say no. You just have to say, I'm afraid that's not possible right now, and go about your business. And what I was saying before is that mantras really help, like something that you say in your head, because we have to start talking to ourselves. I had a therapist, she was doing like some sort of imaginings with me, like visualizations. And she was saying that you have to talk to yourself. So at first, like, like my father, he used to tell me, he wasn't the greatest. He used to say, you're never going to amount to anything. And she told me that I was supposed to answer that back in my head and say, that's a lie. That's a lie. So at first it seemed really dumb. But after a while, it was like, that's a lie. And then, like, 3 months later, it's like, that's a lie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
I really owned it, that is a lie.
That's right.
And so if we can speak to ourselves and have a mantra, like one thing that I tell ladies to use a lot is from the Wizard of Oz. Remember Glenda the Good Witch? She would say, be off with you. You have no power here. Right?
That's right.
So that's what we can say to all these guys who are putting too much pressure on us. Inside our head, be off with you. You have no power here. And in that one sentence, we can reclaim our power, have healthy boundaries, and say, I'm afraid that's not possible right now.
I'm afraid that's not possible. We want to bring on Dr. Ivy. We are getting ready to come to the close. We always bring in our in-house psychotherapist, healer, everything, my teacher, my mentor, to sort of sit back. She sits back and she listens. And just so you guys know, I don't know how much you guys watch the show. Come on in here, Dr. Ivy. Hi, Dr. Ivy. Yeah, Dr. Ivy really got me on my journey of healing, Phaedra and LB. I talked to you, Dr. Donna, about her. And that's really what led me to be the yogi that I am today, because she introduced me to Dr. Sister Jenna. But what have you been hearing, and what can you add to the soul and the spirit of where we're at right now?
Oh boy, I tell you, just listening, every show is so powerful, and the collective energy, particularly of tonight, with this female energy, that we talk about our strength, we talk about our power, but in the depths of the night of the soul, we experience our own emotions, and most of the time all by ourselves. And the thing about it is, we do have to find a way to come out of our own mind, sitting there all alone. And this is an opportunity for all of us to open up, because we all have a story to tell. And what I have learned is, in my world, what we call the spiritual crisis. That when you find yourself in a space where nothing seems familiar, where every hole that you step in seems like it gets deeper and it sinks even deeper, and you're not able to find your way to the top, even though you know how, and even though you understand exactly where you are. But I agree with the doctor who says it is the first sign of burnout. And if we don't respond to it, like taking rhythmic pauses in life, because the faster we go, the quicker the end will certainly come.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Ivy. Yes. And that's why I have her. And all of these people are available to you. We talk, we want to keep going with this conversation. We've got Dr. Donna, who's going to be joining the Brain Gang. And if you go to thebraintroop.com, we do have a tab that has all the resources. We're going to add you, Dr. Donna, as well. And that's why we're here, LB and Phaedra. We've got another conversation post this, and we're going to keep this conversation so that we can figure out how to collaborate in a different way. We've all collaborated before, but this collaboration that I'm at, this place that I'm at, y'all, it's on a whole nother vibration of healing in a way that we need today. So final words, starting with you, Krishana, and then we'll go to Dr. Donna's, and then LB and Phaedra.
I just want to say thanks, Allison, for the opportunity. Usually I'm behind the scenes, guys. You don't realize that all these comments, bringing you guys in, doing all that. I do this for Allison, because I want the brain truth to go successfully. I want her words to be able to get out. I want people to be able to see her, that she was having some streaming, and I want to make sure we didn't have any streaming problems. So my final word is thank you, Allison, for doing this, to give me the opportunity to receive these healers, to have Dr. Ivy singing to me with her angelic voice, and in the sound spa,
Right.
and like just everyone pouring into me. Like, I just thank you for the brain truth. This is a blessing.
Actually, I'm going to go. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to go to LB Phaedra, and then I want to end with Donna, and then I want to end with Dr. Ivy because she's got some stuff coming up. So, LB.
I just want to say thank you. Phaedra, thank you for thinking of me to be on this. And Allison, it's a blessing to see you. I'm so excited to see you. And I agree, this has been really good. And I'm here anytime you want me back on here. It's something that needs to be discussed consistently, just like you discuss everything else. And then again, once we get away from the judgment of things and just look at things for what they are, and know where you can get the resources to get that taken care of, I think the better we'll be able to balance out all these, you can't do this, you can't do this, how you're looked at. You just start getting a chance to do you. I always tell people, be you, and just, you'll shine from that. Just make sure you're doing you.
Great. That was awesome, LB. Well said. Phaedra.
I just want to say thank you, Allison. We've been friends for a number of years, and I really needed this. I mean, just for my soul. I mean, I've been in therapy for years, and I'm a Christian. I love Jesus. I love the Lord. I know that He is my healer. He's all that. But sometimes you have to remind yourself. I mean, I teach, I've been teaching for 20 years to actors, and I always tell them you have to put your oxygen mask on before you can save somebody else. And I know all this stuff, but sometimes you need to be reminded. And this was a reminder. Because, I mean, you think you're okay. And I think, God slowed me down 2 months ago, and I needed a reminder. And then you called me literally right after that happened. And I was sitting in my car, and we were talking on the phone. Remember? It was like 2 months ago.
Yes, I did. Because you said you had been through some stuff too, but you didn't elaborate because I was telling you what I was going through. And you see, that's what I'm saying. You didn't even tell what she was going. That's who you are. You going through to say you over there holding on to the cliff, and I'm like, I done fell down the cliff. And you're not even telling me you falling off the cliff. That's why I love you. But
I want to make it really clear. Even if you think you know this, even if you think you got it together, sometimes you need to stop and remember, relearn all these things all over again. Don't forget, put your own oxygen mask on before you try to save somebody else.
Yes. Dr. Donna, thank you. Well said, Phaedra.
I just want to say thank you for having me. I can't wait to be back. And self-love, self-compassion, self-dignity, self-regard.
Dr. Ivy.
It's so wonderful to be with women, heart connection.
Oh, my thank you. I would, my final words, all of a sudden, when Dr. Donna started talking about sitting in the fire, it made me think about sitting in the sweat lodge and the power of the sweat that comes from the fire that heats the rocks, that pour water onto it in order to get the life or the steam from the heated rocks. And I'm reminded that as we begin to continue our own healing process, that we have to remember to tune up our body, our mind, and our spirit with the fire. And that fire can show up looking all kinds of ways. But right now, the fire is energy. What do you have to do to find that energy, to revivify yourselves? And that's why, we talk about sound healing being the new medicine, because those frequencies can literally speak the soul language and revivify you at a cellular level and renew your entire being. Or reset brain ratio is what we call it. Is if you can reset your brain ratio, then you can reset your entire nervous system, which gives you more life and more joy.
Thank you.
I encourage you to reset reset on a regular basis, tune up periodically your entire
Yes.
being. And that means every day, at least 2 times a day.
And I want to, on that note, I want to put up how you can reach our guests. And specifically, I want to end with how you can reach Dr. Ivy, because she's dropping finally her LP. So if you want to get in touch with Phaedra Harris, please go to Phaedra Harris Casting at LA and just see what she's doing. Get in touch with Linnea Bell. These are her social media, LinneaBell.com. I don't know if she's taking agent clients, but try it and then get in touch with Hats of All Trades, Krishana Snipe, my producer. And if you want to learn more about Dr. Donna, go to donna.rockwell.com. And then for Dr. Ivy, she's got this amazing evening meditation and conversation. It's on Friday, March 11th. And we're going to put this hopefully up on the braintroop.com, but go to drivysoundspa.com. And you can totally join this and understand her sound vibronics. It's really helped me, and it's really groundbreaking what it does for the endocrine system and the cellular rejuvenation and healing. You'll be very, 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 very impressed with the work that she's doing. So, wow, that's our show. Like, it goes by so fast, but we'll see you next Tuesday again here at thebraintruth.com. March 15th, we're still going to be celebrating Women's History Month, and we're going to actually be talking to the keto supermom of 6. Her name is Angie Mae, who became a widow after the sudden and tragic death of her husband. Then after working and turning her tragedy into triumph in 2020, had another loss when her house and everything she owned burned down. So we're going to be talking to her. They call her the keto supermom, about how she turned all of her tragedy into hope. We hope we can bring back Dr. Donna. We hope we can bring back Dr. Ivy to the conversation. And, you know, just keep these conversations going with these women and celebrating Women's History Month. And as we do it, we end here on the Brain Truth. We always say we go back into the mind, the soul. And so let's ready ourselves for the brain bliss. And I'm always humbled to show up for what's possible. And so I just want to thank our guest. I want to take a deep breath and remind yourself. I am a peaceful soul. I am a pure soul. I am capable. I desire to heal. And the power is right here within me. I am open to being authentic. I am open to letting go. Letting go of ego, anger, and attachment. I am open to forgiveness. I am okay. I desire mental, physical, and emotional awareness. I desire clarity, calm, and pure mindfulness. I am okay. I will receive love and give love freely. I am open to a deeper connection to Source. I am love. I am love. Thank you, Brain Juice. I love you, and I see you next week, and that's the Brain Truth.
Vibrations of love. And some say love is a verb. But much deeper than that, love is a vibration. It is that energy that stirs the soul and opens up the heart. Vibrations of love call out to the divine that connects us with the beauty of life and the oneness of it all. I need not to say it with words, although it is always nice to hear. But greater still is to feel it. Vibrations of love lift me higher, and I fill the empty spaces within the soul. It is the divine in its purest essence. It is me at the height of my being. I am vibrations of love.